Hi, my name's Keith Henderson. I'm with a company called Latin Metals. As the name suggests, we're focused in Latin America, specifically in Peru and Argentina. We're a prospect generator, so we do things a little bit differently to some of the other mining companies that you'll typically see at this show. Everything that we do is basically the expensive work, the drilling, anything that's going to be potentially dilutive to shareholders is funded by our partners, so we're running with a prospect generator type model. We really try to limit the amount of money that we raise and how much dilution that we put onto our shareholders, that people investing today know that in the future, basically they're not looking at a ton of dilution. All of the work, all of the expensive drilling, all of the really high risk work gets done by our partners, and we're working with other companies such as AngloGold, Ashanti, Muchico resources. These are bigger companies that are in production that have got revenue. I would say our best project is the one that is currently being explored by AngloGold Ashanti. AngloGold, as you probably know, are one of the world's largest gold producing companies. And they've got very high and specific hurdle rates when it comes to exploration projects. They're typically looking for a discovery in the range of 5 million ounces or more. And so if they get into a project and they don't see that kind of potential, they typically just walk away. So this is a project that they've been working on for a long time. They've been in a permitting process for at least 2 years, working with local communities. And they're now going to be ready for drilling, hopefully in the next kind of 1 or 2 quarters. And so we're really excited to see the results of that drilling when it eventually comes. We probably have the most important role as a company, so we have the work that we do initially and then the work that our partners do later. The contacts that you get in the earliest stages are really the most important. So in Peru, for example, you need a permit to do groundbreaking work like drilling. But typically when we acquire a project, we'll go and make a community agreement in the first instance right away, even though we're going to do things that we're sort of allowed to do. Not sort of, we are allowed to do. We can go sampling, we can go mapping, but it's much better if we engage with the community first. We make an initial agreement with them with some cooperation, and then we find that when we get to later stages and we need a drill permit, that relationship's kind of already there, and that really helps us. The biggest challenge for us is finding partners. Our model relies on larger companies like AngloGold Ashanti or even mid-tier companies. It relies upon them having funding and budget and the desire to enter into agreements with companies like us. Over the last couple of years, we found that to be quite challenging, but this year it seems to be all different. Companies are appearing, they're looking for projects. And the way these things evolve in bigger companies is interesting. A bigger company will decide quite suddenly that they want to be looking for, let's say, copper in Argentina, and they want to drill a project this year, and they want to drill it this year, and that's where it's really advantageous to us because we have the projects. We typically try to get a drill permit in place, and then we're really in a good position to get a partnership and to move quickly and to have things drilled right away. On expansion plans, it's super important for us to have a really healthy pipeline of projects because as we're optioning projects out to bigger companies, we need to have more coming along. With our model, we essentially don't need to finance into the future. We've just completed a $1.3 million financing, which is typically what we raise in a year. But as we get more and more projects and more partners and money's coming in from those partners, it gets to the point eventually where we become self-funding and we don't have to go back to market, we don't have to do equity raises, and that's where the dilution just absolutely stops. And that's what we're aiming to do, and we hope that every financing we do is the last one, but we have a feeling that this year's one that we've just completed will be the last one. I'd like them to understand that they're not going to get diluted, that in 5 years' time their shares will be worth, within the framework of the company, approximately what they're worth now in terms of percentage ownership. We won't be financing to any large extent, and the money that's getting spent by our partners represents excellent value. We're not diluting shareholders, we're diluting at the asset level. And so this year, for example, we expect $19 million of expenditure from our partners versus the $1.3 million that we raised. So approximately $19 million spent on our projects for every dollar that we raise. And that's really good value for shareholders.